is Nathan Tembo from Pharma Associates. We are working with American Institute for Research, and my note taker is Lucy Muguka. So basically, we are here conducting an evaluation. We are evaluating the Millennium Challenge Cooperation Innovation Grant Program. So by looking at the experience you have with the IGP, that's why we thought of interviewing you. Even this, the major role you play in this program. So we are here to hear more about the IGP program as we evaluate it. And the Millennium Challenge Corporation also, they will use this information to see, just to see how the program is working and how they can improve in future. And also looking at what has worked and what has not worked. So basically this information will help everyone. And at this point, I'd like to assure you that the information we are collecting is confidential. We won't show it to anyone who is not involved in this program, to just be used by those who are involved, and your names won't be linked to whatever you say. And would also want to look at the aspect of even time, depending on how we interact. Okay, so for time, I think maybe minimum might be 1 hour something, just depending on how we interact. Because sometimes in a group like this, one point maybe you would want first to agree and then come up with one answer. So that's about time. And as we'll be doing this, we are also recording. In case my note taker misses something, then we can still listen to the recorder and get the information. So from what I've explained, do you have any questions? Just the introduction part.
I think the introduction part is okay. Interviews are conducted like that, and we continue. We share what we can share with you.
Thanks so much, sir. And does that mean do you agree now to continue with the discussion? That
we continue this
discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, even the recording, you are okay with it?
If the voice will be captured, it's okay.
Thanks so much, sir. So for this, if you need more information, we can give you the contact details for Professor Gilson Tembo, who is the Executive Director for Pharma Associates. Okay. And we also have the contact details for Hannah Ring from American Institute for Research. So those are the information in case you want to maybe hear more. Basically, the goal of this interview is to understand the overall program processes and sustainability from the perspective of the grantee, like yourselves. We would like to begin our conversation today by asking you some questions about your role concerning MCAZ's Innovation Grant Program, your role, the role which you play. So I'm going to ask you one by one. I'm going to start with the participant 1, P1. What is your position at Afya Muzuri, and how long have you been in this position?
For my position at Afya Muzuri is that I'm an executive director.
Okay.
And I've been that since it should be now the 4th year. Yeah, in the same position. Okay. Our role as an organization as Afya Muzuri with MCA is basically to conduct an implementation of a project that we entered into agreement with Millennium Challenge Zambia in November 2016. This is a project that is looking at menstrual hygiene management and sanitation for a very vulnerable community in Lusaka, Mutendere, and Kazimai areas.
Okay.
So that's where we are in terms of what we are doing. We are implementing this project in this community. Details, I think, as we continue, will be coming out.
Yes. Okay. Then P2, what is your position at Afya Muzuri, and for how long have you been in this position?
I'm the program officer. I've been in this position for the past 4 years.
4 years.
Though I've rotated about 3 projects at this position.
Okay.
So maybe back in 2020, actually it's not 3 years, it's 5 years.
5 years.
Yes.
Okay. Then P3, what is your responsibilities in this? So maybe by P3, what is your position at Afya Muzuri, and for how long have you been in this position?
I'm finance manager at Afya Muzuri,
Okay.
and I've been in this position at Afya Muzuri for the past 8 months.
Past 8 months. Okay. Okay. Then I'll go back to P1. What are your responsibilities in this position as it relates to the IGP? Your responsibilities.
Responsibility is to oversee the project implementation, seeing that it is implemented as per the agreement.
Okay. Then P2, what are your responsibilities in this position as it relates to IGP?
The link between the beneficiaries on the ground and Afya Muzuri as an organization, and then the other side, the contact person for IGPM, which relates to MCA and IGPM respectively.
Okay. Then I come to P3. What are your responsibilities in this position as it relates to IGP?
My responsibility is financial management
Okay.
in terms of budget tracking, adherence to the budget,
Okay.
compliance issues,
Yeah.
the budget, making sure that all the payments that we need to send
Yes.
are paid in accordance with the agreement.
Okay. Thanks so much for those responses. Now we are going to the perceived benefits and outcomes of the IGP. So the questions I'll be asking, they will relate to that. We would now like to ask you some questions about the outcomes of your organization's intervention in Lusaka. What have been the main achievements of your project to date? What have been your main achievements of your project to date? So anyone can pick it up as we discuss.
Okay, as per planned activities,
Yes, your main achievements, yes.
our main achievements are that we managed to construct 2 menstrual hygiene management shelters in the market. That is 1 per market, because we are operating in 2 markets. So each market has received the MHM shelter constructed. So
The menstrual what?
menstrual hygiene management shelter. Basically, these are sanitation facilities that have toilets, showers, and a change room for the female section to practice menstrual hygiene management that totally offers privacy.
Okay. Anything else on the achievements?
We have managed to train about 48 participants in the production of sanitary towels.
Okay.
So these women and men have been trained to produce reusable sanitary towels. and they were also empowered with 12 sewing machines that have been placed at the market, and production is taking place, and they are selling the sanitary towels. Another one is we've managed to form groups and implement the group savings and loan scheme that empowers communities to become their own bankers, own savers, and their own lenders of money.
Wow. They are their own bank.
They are their own bank. They save money and they lend it and they keep it amongst themselves. So this is a community empowerment methodology that Afya Muzuri implements across different projects, and was also incorporated in the IGPM. And this has successfully been done in the markets, and people are benefiting those little resources that is able to finance their needs at different levels.
It has also empowered them in the sense that they are not focusing on selling their vegetables,
Yes.
and other merchandise, but because now of this empowerment of creating a new scheme of sanitary production, which has given them also, it's an empowerment in terms of their income levels, because it will be bringing money to them. Secondly, it is an empowerment in the sense that the skills that they originally had have changed. It's an innovation to see that they can have other skills like what they are doing now. And also it's an achievement in the sense that the project has helped the market to unite further in terms of working together, taking collective action as opposed to individual action. So that is basically some of the empowerment that is there. It has also increased their perception of the hygienic factors, because they are now able to recognize that in the absence of this, we cannot exist properly.
Yeah.
So that movement from seeing the sanitation aspect as an important aspect in their lives with the facilities that were provided is a big empowerment for the members at individual level, and even the people visiting the market, because now they are able to enter into facilities that are properly constructed.
Okay, so those facilities are for everyone in the market?
Yes.
Or you have a
They are
target?
fee-paying. So
They are
this is
fee-paying.
basically a toilet that is placed in the market that is a fee-paying toilet. So customers, even yourselves today, if you go there, you want to use the toilet,
Yes.
you at least be part of our beneficiary.
Okay.
And
No, that's a good one.
so we are targeting the market, but also surrounding communities as well as customers that come from different walks of life. They become to benefit from there.
Okay, so the money realized, how is it used?
So the money realized is maybe just we finish the other two achievements and we can come to that question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the other achievement has been that Afya Muzuri managed to form and train sanitation committees in the market. These have been taken through the processes and empowered in knowledge on how to manage these facilities that we've built.
Okay.
So they take a leading role in all general sanitation activities in the market. An achievement from this is one of the markets has even created a day in a month that they close the market for about 2 hours and every member cleans. So this day came in fact before the pronouncement of a national cleaning day. But this one came earlier. So the markets are cleaner now compared to how we found them. That has been another achievement. And the other one is we've trained these people in sanitation marketing, basically to ride on this opportunity of poor sanitation conditions in the market and market it so that they take an entrepreneurial dimension. So we took them through a training and they developed a business model specifically for sanitation and how they will scale it up. So we're trying to answer to sustainability issues. So the market developed a business model that they are using and they'll be using for the next years to come. And this model will help us respond to the social challenge of poor sanitation conditions. At the same time, make a profit out of it. So coming back to your question, how
in fact, I have to state that you are even touching some questions which are coming on sustainability.
Okay.
I'll get more information there as we go there. Yes, coming to my question.
The question, where is the money going?
Yes.
So this MHM facility, the fee paying is that the market, these basically are cooperative markets. They are not run under council. They run on their like a private market. Okay. So their name is the main cooperative market. So being a cooperative market, they have their own market account. Okay. So what we do, they have a separate receipt book that will monitor how much the cash inflow, and then the monies are deposited, are banked in the market account. Yes. However, the use for it is that these sanitation committees that we formed were empowered, were trained on how to manage the MHM facility. So a certain percentage goes towards promoting sanitation in the market generally. Okay. Some of the activities that the monies that will be used for is to buy the waste bins for the entire market. Okay. Another area is they want to increase the water points in the market, because each market only has one water point. So they want to increase to about 3 or 4, so that different points of the market have water access points. And then part of it is to contribute towards waste collection, because that is one area that we identified that the market lacks or has inadequate waste collection facilities, or the measures that are put in place do not really work up to the capacity, the waste that is generated and at the rate at which it is collected from the market not tally. So part of it, we want to engage with a private company to come and help in this waste management. And in the long run, the goal is that part of the proceeds should be used to rehabilitate the old existing toilets in the market.
Wow, that's really a good program. Yeah, I can see even the plans for sustainability are there.
They will answer that concept note. So for us, it's a stage-by-stage implementation. So those are basically our plans. But generally, we can state that the proceeds from this is to promote sanitation in the market generally. Then the components are those ones that I've listed.
Wow, oh, that's so nice. As you know, there are several objectives of the IGP. So I will read one by one. When I read one, then I'll ask some questions concerning that objective. So the first objective is to increase and sustain the access of the poor to quality water and sanitation, and improved drainage maintenance through solid waste management.
To increase what? Repeat.
To increase and sustain the access of the poor to quality water and sanitation, and improved drainage maintenance through solid waste management. Okay. So the first question on that objective is, how do you believe your project helps to achieve this IGP objective? I say, what factors helped you to achieve this objective? Please highlight specific project examples.
Okay. So basically, the IGP has 3 components, which is waste management, water supply, and sanitation and hygiene. So for us, we contribute towards the sanitation and hygiene.
Oh yes. Okay.
So our projects, just by the description I gave you earlier, we are contributing to this because we will improve the sanitation conditions of the market. From one, the markets were not cleaner, but they are now clean because they are cleaning the market, and this is where the food is coming from. And secondly, the sanitation facilities, these are the toilets. The ones that are existing were pit latrines, and we've given them more flushable toilets. we've increased the number of toilet units from just 2
Yes.
to now 8.
Wow.
So this increase has benefited. It's sustainable, like you've heard.
Yes.
The toilet that is there has been there for the past 40 years. So we are talking of our structure lasting even more than that.
Wow.
So we've given a structure that will stand the test of time, and it is self-generating in terms of income. You don't have to pump more money as IGP for it to continue running.
Oh, yeah.
So it's bringing money every day. So we've increased, we've improved sanitation, and we've sustainably answered the sanitation conditions of the poor in the markets and surrounding communities.
Okay.
I think at another level,
Yes.
although it might not be very, very, but it is there, the increase in terms of water.
Yes.
Because they are running, the water that they have was not stored anywhere, but now we have a tank. These
You are
toilets
storing water now.
Yeah, they store water in a tank, which
Okay.
which means if there is a cut of water
Yes,
coming to
yes.
the market, they still have access to water, so that
Okay.
they can clean up the place. So even that aspect
Yes.
is well over an achievement in that objective.
Okay. Wow. So on the same objective, I'll ask the second question. What factors hindered the organization's ability to achieve this objective? Please highlight specific project examples.
What?
What hindered them?
At first, it was factors that helped you to achieve this objective.
Mm-hmm.
Then the second part is what factors hindered the organization's ability to achieve this objective? Do you have any factors?
We
Any
achieved,
challenges?
so we didn't. We achieved, so we didn't fail to achieve this. This one we achieved, but
This one
achieving,
you achieved.
we contributed to just one component because that's what our project. But generally,
Yes.
because the others they fall out of our
Okay.
mandate.
So you didn't have any challenges as you were achieving.
Basically, maybe in terms of, yes, the objective was achieved,
Yes.
but maybe a few challenges such as maybe the late inflow of funds
Late inflow of funds. Okay.
to effectively and quickly.
Okay.
Work with
But I think the
government.
question is,
On this,
I'm worried about the question, the way the question is phrased.
Okay.
It implies there was a failure,
yeah.
but there was no failure.
There was no
That's why
failure.
that's why
Failure
I'm-
wasn't there.
Failure
But
wasn't
did you have some challenges?
The challenges are going to
Challenges
come
were-
when you come the challenges, but when you look at the failure, that's where
We thought you were asking
Yeah.
specific to the objective, huh?
Yes, specific to that objective. I will come to other objectives. You will
Yeah.
hear the other objectives
So
also.
specific to this objective,
This
we
objective.
achieved. We did
Okay.
not fail because I
Because
think
the-
that one is a build-on question to say if you did not achieve, then the failures, what hindered? What were the factors that hindered the failure?
Okay.
That contributed to your failure?
because if we say we did not achieve, it means we have not constructed the toilets, we have not changed the sanitation aspects of the marketeers, we have not changed anything. That is for me as a failure.
Yes.
But if a question comes in a different light to say, in terms of your process of implementing this project,
Yes.
are there any challenges that
Any
you face?
challenges?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe
Then
that way we
then
can
we'll
come
be
to that
able to
financial and other
answer to
issues.
all those other programming issues. But specific
I
for
don't
this
know.
objective,
Specifically.
we
okay.
achieved.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
don't know, maybe,
Who
maybe we
actually-
are wrong. To
I
guide
can
us so
say-
that we can answer at
yes.
this point.
I can say we'll come to the implementation part. We'll
Yes.
see whatever was involved in other issues. At that point, I can go to the second objective.
Okay.
Okay. So the second objective is to enhance the functioning of the water supply, sewerage, and drainage systems. To enhance the functioning of the water supply, sewerage, and drainage systems. How do you believe your project helped to achieve this IGP objective? Well, you include the factors which helped you to achieve this objective. Please highlight specific project examples.
I don't know if I understand you well. This falls out of our because ours was not relating at sewer lines,
Okay.
water supply.
Water supply.
Ours is sanitation
is
and hygiene.
sanitation and hygiene. So that
Sanitation
one
and hygiene.
is for another organization, I think.
Okay.
That may not apply to us. I don't know.
The tank you talked about. Who?
No, that is.
So for
The
us,
thing is,
Maybe the water supply you are
maybe
you are
the
not
thing,
involved.
maybe the
in.
thing that I'm getting struggling with now at
Yes.
the moment
Yes.
is that you're reading out objectives of the whole Millennium Challenge.
Yes. Yes.
so who
Now,
only picked
Millennium
those
Challenge,
ones?
Yes, so
they
for
picked,
you, yeah.
they picked who is going to work on this.
You are very right, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for us, number one applies to us very, very, because that's where our focus was. This one, although it is, some answers may come through,
Yes.
they are by the way. It's not our
Okay,
focus.
by the way, not
so
your
if we,
main focus.
So if we answer on this one, we may give very negative answers to it, which will not agree with our project line.
No.
So
It's
I
not
don't
in
know.
line with
Yeah.
our project.
Okay, this objective is not in line with your
No.
project.
You asked about water supply. For us, water supply is specifically for our
Toilets.
toilets because
Specifically for the toilets.
okay, it's supplied to the market. Huh? We have a reserve tank,
Yes.
and they already had this existing tank erected in the market. So we gave them something bigger than what they had as a reserve.
Okay.
Should there be cut of supply?
Yes.
For us, we wanted to ensure to say our toilet has water running throughout.
Okay.
But overall, the market is benefiting because when there's no power, the reserve tank, when there's no water supply to the market, the reserve tank will be able to pump water into the other, and then the market can access water.
And the,
So that is just like a contribution. But when we
Contribution.
did it was specifically for our shelter. However, the market. So to say that we had programming on water supply, no.
Okay.
Programming on drainage and sewer system, no.
because the drainage and sewer system is the project of MCA, which at the end of, as we go through, when I said when we come to the challenges and what we faced,
Yes.
this will come in because as of now, like Kazimai Market,
Yes.
it's not connected because that general line for MCA, which are passing to the community, was suspended. They have not finished it. I understand this last week I was saying now they've engaged another contractor to complete the sewer line that they run through the community. That had an effect in us because it's running behind the market. So when we created the toilets that we're talking about, the sewer line is supposed to be connected in that line for sewerage purposes.
Yes.
That under that sewerage aspect,
Yes.
that component will come in under the challenges because MCA has not completed their task. Because even in the original agreement, we agreed to say, once you complete this, we are going to drop our lines into your line. Now they have not done that line, so we have not dropped our line. So meaning, Kazimai Market will stand until they've completed. That's when we can drop our lines.
Okay.
So I don't know if we...
So enhancing
I understand,
functioning of
yeah.
water supply, it's at that level because
Yeah.
we're trying to sort out our problem, but generally the entire market is also benefiting.
So for you, just provided that tank, that reserve tank.
Yes.
Okay.
Should there be water, water should come in the reserve tank and in the erected tank for the
Yeah.
market. In case of water supply interrupted,
Yes.
the market could continue having water because they have a reserve tank.
Okay.
So that is in a small way that we've contributed
In a
towards
small way.
water supply, but specific to the market.
Did you have any challenges in that small way? Challenges related to the small way you contributed?
Yeah.
Okay. Then we go to the third objective. To demonstrate an innovative approach or technology to improve water use, sanitation, and hygiene practices among the poor. To demonstrate an innovative approach or technology to improve water use, sanitation, and hygiene practices among the poor. How do you believe your project helped to achieve this IGP objective? And what factors helped you to achieve this objective? Please highlight specific project examples.
The project entirely is there and is an innovative project
Yes.
because it is, we are using an entrepreneurial dimension to respond to the challenges of the sanitation challenges of the poor in the market and in that community.
Yes.
You know, if we wanted, we would have just gone there, give them a free toilet and start using it.
Yeah.
But then it's not innovative. What do we want to do? Do we understand to say the market has other problems that they need? So how can we generate money for them to solve these other problems? Give them a toilet that will be fee paying, and then they respond to the other issue. Then talk of production of sanitary towels.
Yes.
There's a problem because when we did our baseline survey, we were informed to say the existing sanitary towels are expensive for these people.
Yeah.
So what do? We introduce the production of reusable sanitary towels, which these people can only buy once in a year, because that kit you use it for a period of 10 to 12 months.
Okay.
So instead of you buying monthly,
Yes.
we give you a skill, you produce, you market, and the people generally are going to benefit because they will save some income. Instead of every month wasting a 20 kwacha buying, you buy 20 kwacha once in a year and then you wash. Next time you are going to buy is next year. Those are some of the factors that helped us. So our planned activities were innovative right from the beginning, and they contributed to demonstrate the innovative approach to hygiene practices.
Okay. So, then what factors hindered the organization's ability to achieve this objective? Did you have any factors or any challenges?
No factors hindered the achievement, but we faced some challenges.
Some challenges, okay.
Yes.
What were those
Some of the challenges is initially we had planned to produce the disposable sanitary towels. That was the initial concept of the project.
Okay.
But in the process, we needed to import machinery from India.
Okay.
So we faced challenges in the procurement process because security of funds in that transaction was not assured. No, we needed to first send the money to India, and that's when the machine was going to come. So that one, the money that was involved was kind of huge.
Yes.
We couldn't risk our funds in that way.
Yeah.
And there was no other way we could use the guarantee with the bank so that our money is kept safe until the point of receiving the goods.
Yeah.
As a result,
Yeah.
we had plan B, which was our alternative of now switching to the reusables, which
Okay.
has proved to be good for us also at the same time.
Okay. Any other contributions towards
And that those are challenges. Now we began talking about the financial issues. Now, now they get that at this point.
Oh, the financial issues.
Yes.
Okay. Then I'll go to the fourth objective: to identify and provide assistance to innovative partnership arrangements, particularly through private sector engagement. Okay. To identify and provide assistance to innovative partnership arrangements, particularly through private sector engagement. How do you believe your project helped to achieve this IGP objective?
To identify and provide assistance through private partnership engagement.
Yes, to identify and provide assistance to innovative partnership arrangements. Are there any partnerships which you identified?
Yes, at implementation level, yes.
Implementation level?
But I would want to believe, I think that was at IGP level, isn't it? Engaging us
Yes.
is at IGP level. So them, they have achieved by engaging us to
Engaging
do
you, yes.
But-
But yourself, have you identified some partnerships?
Yes, we have. At how I can explain that we did this is during implementation.
Yes.
There are certain technical areas that us as an organization
Yes.
did not or could not meet certain standards. Therefore, we engaged external people to come and
Okay.
implement on our behalf, which we hired.
Okay.
So I don't know if that can just qualify to
As
come
a
as
private
a private partnership. I don't know.
Okay, so those you
I'll give you an example.
just hired them.
Yes,
Mhm.
we
Yes.
hired
Like the contractor.
contractor we hired because as Afya Mzuri we don't have engineers and bricklayers to go and construct. So those you hire. So I don't know if that can be
Private partnership.
private partnerships.
Okay. Then for your community, like, did you identify maybe if they can also partner with other organizations as they work?
Yes.
Are there such partnerships?
Yes. Some of
Which
them
are those?
now. Some of them. Okay, this one of them is community development, mother and child health, which is an action point for
In the
sustainability plan.
Yeah.
Engagement with needs care, who trained the people into production of sanitary towels. We had them, but in the end, there must be some collaboration beyond the grant move in the future. And then also we are working around engaging UNICEF as the bulk buyer of the produced sanitary towels. So these are mostly in the long term.
In the long term.
Yeah. So I don't know if they qualify for us to answer them at this stage.
Okay, so that's in the long term. Like for now, do you have any partnerships going on, or those are still in the future?
I can say engagements have started. They've started.
Okay.
Like one of them is waste management company, which is another grantee. We want to engage them to come and to come and start working in the markets to collect. We had the first meeting, we had the second meeting now. We need to go and meet the people so that we talk about the funds and then an MOU is signed.
Okay.
Because when we say yes, we have done this,
Yes.
you now ask us to say where is the agreement. So these are most of the things that we are doing in this closeout. Come 30th October, we need to have all the MOUs signed. So we'll say yes, we've started working on it. We are making contributions through UNICEF, that's the waste collection company, Wasaza, and Needs Care, about 4 to 5. And we also had talks with Trade Kings, because we want to engage Trade Kings and the market to have that marketing collaboration of the cleaning materials to be supplied to the market. So those 5.
Yeah, so at the level of partnership,
yes,
there are a lot of questions in that, because I don't know, maybe I need to understand what partnership really means. I think partnership is where somebody also helps, puts in something to assist you, not at a cost, but it's like, I'm going to work with you, I'll provide this so that we can go together. You are not buying power, we are not buying things from them. You know, it's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
So that's why this question of partnership is a bit difficult to unfold at this moment, because these are futuristic partners we're trying to engage to see if these people can agree to work with the markets in that line where they partner and like Trade Kings.
Yes.
There's a chance of them agreeing with a partnership to say, okay, look, we are doing this. Can you do this for us?
Yeah.
Can you market these things for us? And at the end of the day, this is what we expect you have done. So those engagements have not fully, as I said, gone into agreements where you can say, yes, we have established these partnerships. They are standing like this. So I don't know at the moment.
Discussions have started.
Or discussions have started.
Like Trade Kings, we are trying, because the day that we want to launch the MHM shelter, they are already in use, but we want this handover ceremony and the launch of the sanitary towel. So we want to bring Trade Kings, because for them that is a market. So they will have an opportunity of marketing their other products, but we also want to use that same opportunity so that they provide us with the cleaning materials at a subsidized rate. Come next year, that will still have to go on. So these discussions are underway, but had you come maybe 3 weeks from today, we can tell you, we did this with Trade Kings. So most of these are discussions that are in this closeout phase for us as an organization and also as a project. But we need to establish this because most of them speak into sustainability.
Okay. So do you think there will be like factors which might hinder your abilities, your organization's ability to achieve this objective, or any challenges you would foresee since they have started?
Well, one of the factors that may hinder it is we don't know how willing these partners will be with what we are proposing. So if there will be willingness, then we'll move. But if there will be no willingness, that will be a big challenge that we will deal with. How do we make these people convinced that in what we are trying to project to them will be very helpful? They can understand the concept of community empowerment from what we are coming from. Ours, we want to into a community empowerment. Can they understand this without putting money to it.
Oh, yeah.
That is one of the biggest challenges that may be there, because partners may want to put money to that agreement, that
Yes.
the gain out of it. But we are not going in the community for a gain. We are going to the community to empower the community to gain from their empowerment. You see the difference?
Yes.
So I don't know if these partners, that will be a challenge, how these partners, whether these partners are going to agree with community empowerment basically without them looking at financial gain out of the community.
Okay. Well, thanks so much. I will go to the next objective. Objective number 5, to provide significant access by women and vulnerable groups to the IGP and its benefits. To provide significant access by women and vulnerable groups to the IGP and its benefits. How do you believe your organization helped to achieve this IGP objective?
Totally. Our project is promoting sustainable menstrual hygiene management for women in the market.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So already our project is well targeting the women and vulnerable groups.
Yes.
And giving them that access to IGP.
To IGP.
Because the money coming from IGP,
Yes.
coming through us,
Yes. Goes to
the community. And the community have accessed that. Because maybe on their own, if they had applied, they would not have received that.
Yes.
But through this process, they have accessed the IGP funding.
Okay.
I don't know if I've...
So the
Yes,
women
Your
have, like, the 75% of our beneficiaries are the
Yes,
women,
are the
because
women.
the project itself targets the women.
Okay.
The women have, that toilet came as a result of the women. The
Yeah,
women
yes.
problem identified, they didn't have a shelter that would give them privacy during menstruation. They would stay away from their businesses during that time because the toilets in the market were not supporting MHM.
Yeah.
So basically,
Yeah.
to respond to that challenge, we built
Yes.
them a toilet.
Okay.
So it's the women that are benefiting. Production of sanitary towels.
Yeah.
Majority trainees are the women. The savings group, majority are the women. So
Are the
we really gave significant access to the women on this project.
So our studies, what moved us to do is, when we
Yeah,
kind of study in the markets, discover those challenges he's talking about,
Yes.
the women themselves spoke out on their challenges, which linked to their income levels also,
Yeah.
because when they are not selling at the market, what happens? They're not making any money. When they are there, then there's this issue. Now people are talking a lot of things when they see women selling, and they ask, where is the toilet? Where are they going? You know, so for this, it was a stigma against women, and some started staying up from the market when they are menstruating.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that process now, we realize to help them is to create a proper sanitation facility where they can wash their bodies, they can clean, they can change without worrying about this. So I think that access has been very visible in terms of helping women based on the study that we got.
Okay. So, others, do you have any other factors that helped you to achieve this objective? Any other factors apart from what you've said?
Well, the other factors would be individual in terms of acceptance of the project. Because if we are going to the market and they did not accept us,
Yeah.
it was going to be very, very difficult to achieve.
Yeah.
But they saw the power that was behind it, that a lot of benefits. One, benefits in terms of their own hygiene,
Yes.
benefits in terms of the market,
Yeah.
benefits in terms of income,
Income.
benefits in terms of their personality to outsiders, how to perceive the market. So because they saw these positive things that were going to help them, I think this became very easy for us to work with the community. So because they achieved some positivity into it, it was easy for us to work with them.
Okay. So, even the vulnerable groups also benefiting. We have the women and the vulnerable groups.
So women and vulnerable groups, if you talk about vulnerable groups, just from the women, they are those older people that are above 50 years.
Yes.
Talk of them accessing a loan from a financial institution, one, their low level of education
Yes.
would make them stay away from going to visit a financial lending institution.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But it being introduced in the market, the group saving and loans, they become a small
Associations,
bank.
yeah.
So those ones, these women, one of them was even attesting, was it a few weeks ago, where she said, me, had you sent me to go to, let's talk of microfilm,
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know how to sign the papers. But
Oh,
this
yeah.
methodology here is helping. So the older people, the low income, those are vulnerable. Low income and the
Yeah.
older group of women,
Yes.
they fall in the category of the vulnerable groups. But generally, when we're talking, we'll give you the picture of the women because
Yes. Okay, so are there any factors which hinder the organization's ability to achieve this objective? Any factors or any challenges?
it's being fantastic. To provide it significant, being significant. So the key word for that is significant. You cannot score 100%, but above 50,
Yes.
I mean, that is a good score. It's significant.
Okay. Then I'll go to the last objective. To expand opportunities for entrepreneurship and income generating activities related to water supply, sanitation, and drainage maintenance through solid waste management. To expand opportunities for entrepreneurship and income generating activities related to water supply, sanitation, and drainage maintenance through solid waste management. I know you mentioned something income generating activities and entrepreneurship. So how do you believe your project helped to achieve this IGP objective? And what factors helped you achieve this objective? Please highlight specific project examples. One of them you mentioned where people are paying monies for them to use that facility, and the money also is being now used in other areas of the market. So do you have
The
other
second one
factors?
is where they are producing sanitary towels and they are selling.
They are selling.
And that money for selling, they have to ensure that a percentage is used to buy materials
Yes.
for production to continue. The other one, they pay themselves allowances as commission.
Oh, they pay themselves.
I mean,
So
that money is not for
like
us.
indirectly employed
Yes,
people.
we've employed them, but then they have to work for
That's their
themselves.
money.
That's their
Themselves.
money. We don't.
Okay.
That money doesn't go into the market because this is an individual that has taken their time
Yes.
off their businesses to
Yeah.
come and sit there, meet, sue the kids that sell.
Yes.
So they have to get an allowance from there. They make their own pay, so they understand. The more they sell, the more the money in our pocket.
Oh, yeah.
The more the production, the more the money in our pocket. So they are working towards that goal. Then the other one is
Yes.
the loans that they are getting from that scheme that we've introduced.
Yes.
Most of them have access to loans. Come that time when the markets were closed during Corona,
Yes.
their businesses didn't fall because they had the fallback on where they could easily go and get a loan
Get along.
and then finance their businesses. So most of them have even diversified their businesses. Some have even expanded. So one person was in salon business for the past 10 years.
Wow.
Until now, she has
Yes.
started selling second-hand shoes. So it's
She has expanded.
She has expanded her business.
Okay.
Another one was only selling vegetables. This time around, when she gets a loan,
Yes.
she started selling second-hand clothes. So you see,
Okay.
there's this expansion because they have more access to
Funds.
funds.
To funds. Okay. So what factors hindered the organization's ability to achieve this objective? You achieved it.
Yeah.
Any
The only
challenges?
one is, I
Yes,
think, was
yes.
we had the target of forming 4 groups,
Okay.
and then we did not manage to form 4. We managed to form 2. Reasons being that when we said 4, it was 2 per market, 2 per market. The other market already had this scheme working, introduced by other people in the market.
In the market. So,
So when
was
we
that
brought
Kazmai?
ours,
The
that
other
was
market is what?
Mtendere
Mtendere.
market.
Main market. Okay.
And so when we brought ours, people were already in those others, and it was difficult for them now to move from there and come and form another one.
Okay.
But for Kazmai, this was a new scheme. So for them, there was that overwhelming response, and come because they're supposed to close the cycle now and then
Okay.
start another one.
So when we form the other ones, the 4 will be met because there's been overwhelming response. So we just wanted to like, okay, we deal with this. When the circle closes, then we'll open another circle, then more people will be recruited because they've heard the benefits from other people.
Okay. No, thanks so much. So those are the objectives. My next question is, which objectives were the easiest to accomplish and why? I can read through the objectives.
No,
Which
you
are writing them, yes. No, that's a good strategy.
Yes.
So if you look at those objectives,
Objective 6.
objective 6, okay, was the easiest. Why?
Objective 5. Objective 1.
Okay, so let's look at objective 6 first. Objective, you first mentioned objective.
Expand the entrepreneurship and the
Income
income
generating
generating
activities.
related
That's
to
not
Yes,
certification.
yes, objective 6. So why are you saying it was the easiest?
No, it wasn't.
No,
It
is
was one of those
One
that
of-
we contributed to achieve.
Okay, yes.
We all, these objectives are for another person, and us being a grantee, we're just contributing.
Yes,
So
okay.
the 4 that I've stated are those ones that we made contributions, and all of them were easy for us to achieve.
So which ones were the easiest?
The-
Said
6,
6, 5, 1.
6, 5, 1, and 4.
1 and 4. So of these, which ones were the easiest?
6 because we used an entrepreneurial dimension
Okay,
in our project.
in your project.
For us, easy, give us money,
Yes.
we sort out the problem.
Okay.
You have a challenge with the expensive sanitary towels. Here is a cheaper one, but
Yes.
out of that cheaper one, we want to extract money from.
Money, yes.
So for us, entrepreneurial and income generating is
Yes.
good.
Okay.
So we managed to achieve that
that
one.
one
We
was the
contributed
easiest.
provide significant access by women and vulnerable groups. I mean, our project is for women and vulnerable groups, which is the objective number 5.
Number 5, yes.
So that one, our project itself,
Yes.
just the nature of the project, was contributing to this.
Okay.
When you go
So we can say this one was also one of the easiest.
Yes.
Yes. So
Objective
6,
1.
5.
Objective 1, increase and sustain access to the poor, to quality water and hygiene and sanitation. I was just speaking hygiene and sanitation. We talk about drainage.
Yes.
I didn't even write.
Yeah.
So access, I mean, we've improved the sanitation situation of the market. We've given them a toilet. We are
Yes.
producing sanitary towels that are way cheaper to be purchased once in a year.
Yes.
We have increased access.
Okay. So those 3.
Yes.
That's number 1.
Okay, now 4.
So
Okay.
She said
Then
there's
first
4.
another question is which objectives were the hardest to accomplish and why? So we're looking at the easiest on those.
So for us, the other ones, they were not hard. They were just falling out of our mandate.
Okay.
Out of our project.
Mandate.
Mandate.
Yes.
They were not hard. They were just
Like
falling
they
out.
want some that you read out. They are not really outsiders.
Okay.
So those, maybe unless you look at the 4 that we've mentioned, but if we've achieved them, when we say they are hardest, we are not contradicting ourselves.
Okay.
If we achieved them and say they are hard,
They are hard.
so that would be a contradiction again to what we have stated.
Okay.
But other objectives that were not directly ours,
Yes.
we could not even attempt to say, by the way that we achieved certain things out of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, no, thanks so much. We go to the implementation part. So thank you for these responses. We would now like to ask you some questions about management and the supervision under the IGP. So the first question under implementation is, what worked well related to IGPM's management and the supervision for the project? Okay, IGPM is called. Yes. So what worked well related to IGPM's management and supervision of your project, e.g. reporting, achievement of milestones, monitoring and evaluation, etc. What worked well?
What worked was anything to do with reporting.
Reporting.
So the practice where you report
Yes.
They review, they give you comments, they send back to you.
Okay.
You work on those comments,
Yes.
you send back to them, then you have a field monitoring visit for each report that was submitted. Then they come here, you sit, like they always sit, we discuss the entire report. The comments you clarify, you justify, you do everything. Then whatever that is here, they follow it up with a field visit to the market. They sit with the marketeers, they have that direct contact with them, they discuss with them, they get the feedback, and then they go to compile a report.
Okay. After talking to you, they also talk to those people in the market.
Yes.
Confirmation, so they can confirm.
Okay.
What we are reporting.
Equal as you are doing a research after interviewing us, you are going to go to confirm these things.
To the
Yes.
yes, we have some
So
questions.
from
for
there, with IGP from the market, they will go and now give you a feedback report
Yeah.
based on what you did. So they will call you for another feedback meeting
Okay.
where they tell you with the report that you submitted, with the issues that you talked about, because in the meeting, the follow-up meetings to the reports, you state, okay, this has been the challenge, what can be done. So in those meetings, you suggest measures, they will bring their own ideas, you argue them about, and then, so in the feedback, action points will have been worked on. Those that needed to be with the MCA, they will have written to MCA, then they give you the feedback, and they give you the action points, and then you move to the next quarter, and that's it. So that worked very well because it kept the project on course.
Yeah, so maybe
Someone always had an eye in the project throughout.
that's one, but maybe they are on the other end. The finance person should answer now on the because that's a programmatic level that you are answering. That you are able to interact at that level.
At that level, yes.
You don't know from the finance what was the interaction.
Yes.
Yeah,
So what worked
finance
well?
can-
I'll come
what
to challenges, but for now, what worked well on the finance side? That is in relation to IGPM's management and supervision of your project.
Doing good.
Yes. In relation to IGPM call.
Nothing.
Nothing worked well.
I will tell you, for me, the IGP, even from where I came from,
Yes.
their report was completely complicated.
Their report. So that will come under challenges.
So for me, even if I say this worked well, I would be contradicting myself when it comes to
To challenges.
challenges.
Okay. Okay. Then anything else on what worked well? I'm now going to challenges. Okay, so my next question is
I think the other thing that works well from the administration of the project is
Yes.
the freedom that we had as an implementing partner
yes.
to reach to other people to help us achieve what we want to achieve. For example, they did not stand in the way for us to go to the council because we had to write to the council letters ourselves.
Okay.
To say this, what is this and that and that. There's just an endorsement from IGP to say this is what we've done. So they endorse it, understand this is what we've done, but we took actions ourselves to see what we think can make the project move fast. So that way of doing things on our own
Yeah.
and only coming into where we have a very big chance and now can you come in now in this at this level.
Yes.
That is when I think that freedom makes you think out of the box because they are not controlled.
Okay.
And just to that one,
Yes.
I think they provided support. You know,
Yeah.
there are times that we really had trouble
Yeah.
Yes.
penetrating through a certain institutional entity. But with their influence at that level being a bigger, they would always push MCA, please MCA, Afya is waiting for the
Yeah.
for the feedback from Lusaka City Council. Write them.
Okay.
Please write them. So that emphasis, you realize that the MCA will write, and in a short space of time, you
Yes.
might get that response. They did the same, I think, with Zema. Because Zema,
Okay.
we were taking time to get the feedback on the project brief that we had applied.
Okay.
So with them going there to say, hey, how far with the Afya Muzuri data? Here's their data. They helped us track certain documents when it was really needed, it was required.
No.
So the freedom was
Yes.
actually facilitated when it became hard for us to do.
Okay. Okay, my next question is what challenges emerged related to IGPM's management and supervision of your project, e.g. reporting, achievement of milestones, monitoring and evaluation, etc. What challenges emerged?
No, you can
You
come.
can look to the finance man now.
No, we talk
No.
too much, also say something.
Challenges?
No, me, the bullet points, the report was serious and very complicated. That one.
For the financial part, the report was...
Seriously complicated.
Okay.
None of the IGPs, none of those people that sat into that meeting where we were had good words for it. It was completely complicated.
So they gave you like
A
a
format.
template,
Yes.
a format,
Template
on how
that
to...
was
So while even them,
Yes.
the COVID people, even Millennium Church, could not understand it
Themselves.
themselves. So you find that they kept on changing it, because it was not answering what they were looking at.
Okay.
So for me, they created something that they couldn't understand.
Okay.
It was supposed to be as simple as it should have been. I don't know who came up with that reporting format.
Okay.
So that was a challenge, a very big challenge in terms of how to follow up with that kind of scenario.
Yeah.
Mm.
So was that challenge sorted out?
Well, it wasn't,
It wasn't resolved.
you know, because the report still remains the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you are managing, like reporting,
Yes, we
using
are
the same
managing.
format.
Yes, in the same format, we are managing to report, because what makes it a challenge is that a lot of questions now start emerging to say, what about this? What about that? So, a report should be crystal clear where somebody, when you send it, is able to understand it. So basically, that was what was included, what was there. When you were trying to track, for example, what was reported last month, last quarter, and what was reported this quarter, and what is the balance. So
Yeah.
now again, when it comes now to the period in which where we are we supposed to include period 6 or period 7, which is not actually indicative as to how. So you find that you start now managing yourself to say, how do we fit in this period when the actual period has come to an end. So basically, those are the issues that we were grappling with. Of course, like the finance people that will come in here,
Yes.
then we could say how do we reconcile this so that we could be able to move forward. We will be able to do that. Then the second aspect in terms of the challenge was the time sheet.
The timesheet.
The time sheet was a typical challenge,
Okay.
because up to now there are some disagreement on how that time sheet should be written, how it should be submitted. So again, they didn't come up with a specific to say, okay, the time sheet should look like this is how we want it. By the time they came up with the way the time sheet should look like,
Yes.
for example, if a person who is on maybe 5, 6, 7 projects,
Yes.
not implemented for that allocation of time. So they wanted it to be a little bit nitty-gritty, where you maybe specify to say at 10:30 this is what I was doing for IGP, then you stop. Maybe at 11:15 this is what I was doing for IGP. So it became a bit complicated.
Okay.
So you find that, of course, for finance people, yes, it was able to. But for other program people, you find that it's difficult for them to pinpoint to say this is what was going on. So those are some of the complications that were there. However, I can tell you to say,
Yes.
even at the time of the closure at this time of the closure,
Yes.
that is still a challenge. Not only with Afya, I've had conversation with others to say, how are you managing with this? It's still the same. It's still the same. It's a challenge with time sheets in terms of the way the report was designed.
Okay. Wow, but the IGPM has been there giving guidance
Yes,
whenever
they
you
have.
needed help.
We have.
As you are preparing that report, that complicated report, they would still come
Yes,
in.
they'll still come.
Okay.
Yeah, but for me, what will be important if there is any future to this project is to seriously look at the financial template and address the gaps for the future programs that will come. Because we learn from some challenges and the effect for the better. So if there have been this experience where implementers have had a challenge with the template, they should be very great thinking about how do we make the template easier for people to understand for the benefit of the project.
In fact, you are even touching my next question.
Oh, sorry.
No, thanks so much.
That's on the
I'll ask for other clarifications. Yes, that's an advice. What you would advise?
Yeah.
The
Okay.
other part that did not work well for IGPM,
Yes.
there are bureaucratic processes to certain things
Yeah.
didn't work well. I have 3 examples.
Okay.
One is the milestone alignment to disbursement that killed the project.
Okay.
You know, you cannot align a milestone
Yes.
to a disbursement, and until this milestone is achieved,
It's
you cannot
achieved.
move to the
You
next.
cannot. Yes.
That entirely kills the IGPM. Because look, give me the disbursement. Because you know, when we were aligning these milestones,
Yes.
one, we were at proposal writing stage. Okay?
Yes.
At proposal writing stage, this is the perceived. It's not the real, the actual thing. It's a perceived.
Yes, that's the perceived.
So
yes,
the
at proposal.
perceived, you know, when you get into the actuals, things
Yes.
might change.
Yeah.
When we started, I'll give an example to say we are going to start construction by July or by December.
Yes.
Grant agreement signed in November. You're thinking construction is going to start in December.
Yes.
Remember, there's a permit to get from Lusaka City Council,
Yeah.
which up to date we haven't gotten the approval. The only thing that we did was to get a permit because we were a time-bound project.
No.
So IGPM to tie down to say, okay, fine, we did not have the powers to move the money that were disbursed for construction. We cannot move it to other things that can move now, to just move the money. So that alignment to disbursement, milestone alignment to disbursement is not a proper thing. What other projects will do? They'll give you money, use it when you finish,
Yeah.
report to say this was achieved because it's still all IGP activities.
Yes.
So, you know, we started with those milestones that are bureaucratic,
No.
of whose factors they don't lie on Afya muzuri, but they
Yeah.
are external to
External.
Afya muzuri. We
Yes.
don't have control on how quick Zema is going to respond to us.
Yeah.
So if you are telling us to say the money that you are holding until Zema
Zema's
responds to
reply.
you, that's when you can use it. Then we'll continue coming forward, get paid. Because I mean, I'm an employee, at the end of the day, I want my ticket to move, my pay to be paid.
Yeah.
So IGP made losses because there's been unnecessary no cost extension. That affects programming.
Yeah.
And then secondly was the bidding process. It was too bureaucratic. You know, we wrote an advert in the paper, then bids, the response was not as good as expected.
Okay.
No, because you missed this, start again. We start.
Yeah.
Looking at time, we said, okay, fine, what can we do? We consult National Construction Council.
Yes.
What are the options available for bidding? No, you can do selective soliciting, you can do this, you can do that. Looking at time, you go to the selective soliciting. You write to National Construction Council, give us a list of contractors that are within this category.
Yes.
And how can you help us guide the invitation for bids? NCC does for you everything. You
Yes.
copy IGP, you copy for me.
Yeah.
They do it.
Okay.
Just because we did not do it to the standard that IGP wanted,
Yeah.
we needed to do an evaluation criteria.
Okay.
Just at that stage, you know, where you finish and then you go like, you did not give them this document, start again. Really? There is no way to flexibility to doing it any other way apart from
Just
your way.
what they want.
Then that also takes us to the timesheet. I'd written it down, but just for just some emphasis point.
Okay.
When IGP came to do evaluation, field assessment at proposal writing stage,
Yeah.
they went to finance.
How do you do your timesheets? We showed them what we do.
Yes.
We
He
have
gave
this
you the
template.
examples. We have this template.
Yes.
So them, they are very strict to what they want. They don't want to adapt into other things that they found you as a practice. Our template is that of putting in numbers. Look at maybe finance. He has
Yes.
7 projects to manage.
Yeah.
So he will just put 2 hours for this project, 30 minutes, and then automatically it gives him the 100%.
Yeah.
Halfway implementation, IGPM comes to say MCA wants their timesheets to be narrative.
Okay.
You know where I say Monday, I attended the meeting with the Palmo Associates,
Okay.
interview at 14 hours, I went. So now look at one template, this person has 7 people to pay him.
Yeah.
So you yourself, you just want it descriptive. The others, they are okay with numbers. What happened to just adapting what you found?
Yeah.
I mean, you could have even marked us out of the process. At that stage when they came, because they found us with our own practices,
Yeah.
you cannot come to change what you found as a practice for an organization. So they have to be a bit flexible. So on those bureaucratic and stringent ways that they want their things to be done in their own ways, doesn't help. So that killed the good project that could have been this free.
Okay, yeah. So, looking at that explanation, it even takes me to the next question. What do you think could be improved about the design of the IGP? Is there anything about the implementation model you would change if given chance?
I think if you just turn around what we've said,
Yes.
that is what we would want to happen.
Okay, because you've given the
Yeah,
challenges.
yes.
So now we
Turn
turn them
around.
out. So one of them
Where
is
they are-
adapting to
where
what
there
you
is
found.
where there is the bureaucratic
Adapting to-
administration,
Yes.
change it
Change
to
it.
something which is not bureaucratic.
Be flexible.
Where you're
Be
not flexible,
flexible.
be flexible.
Okay.
You know, when you are flexible, doesn't mean that you are not achieving compliance. No.
Yes.
You can still
Yes.
achieve
Yeah.
compliance, but
Yes.
look into the environment. You know, you cannot tell me to say somebody in Washington DC, tells you to say, oh, this is how it will be. But the
Yeah.
practices of Zambia, typically
Zambia,
in
yes.
Tendere,
Yeah.
cannot be the same as somebody who's seated in a developed country.
Mhm.
So this program should be flexible to adapt the environmental challenges into, because people
where
are
the
different.
implementing-
Where the implementing agency is sitting. You can't just be
The
strict.
other way the IGP
Yes.
would do, I hope they could steal ideas from other projects
Okay.
or other agencies. I would single out UNICEF.
Okay. Yes.
If you have attended the UNICEF, immediately they want to give you the money.
Yes.
Before they give you the money, they will take you into a process that, okay, this is the way you should fill in our timesheet.
Okay.
They will give you that template. Then secondly, they will also give you, this is the way you should do. They will even give you a dummy process of how they are done. And then then they'll say, have you understood this process? Then they'll tell you, yeah, if you answer yes, okay, we shall give you a mock test to see whether you have understood.
No.
And then a certificate is given. Now,
No.
with ITP COWI, it's
Yes.
something that just drops to say, oh,
Hands-on learning.
Mr. Who is this the consultant? Can you design a reporting template for us? Oh, how? Okay, it should be AB. This man just sits in his office and says, oh, this is the way it should. I think the template should be. If it's maybe they hired Price Waterhouse, you know Price Waterhouse, they are the big five, eh?
Yes.
So they will come up with a complicated, according to what they understand, what they think it should be. Then they say to them, and then you give it a CBO. That report, that kind of reporting. Just imagine a
Tendere
CBO.
market.
Yeah.
Will it work very well? First of all, this person doesn't even know how to use the spreadsheet, doesn't know how to use whatever. So you are dropping this on the spot like that. Can you use it? So basically, that is how IGP lost. If they could, first of all, by sensitizing the grantees at the inception.
So that's the startup phase.
Yes.
So maybe I can, in retrospect, what changes could have been made to avoid delays in the first one, the startup phase? What changes could have been made
A lot of education should have.
on the startup phase?
Yes, on the startup phase.
Yes.
Because I want to give you an example to say, here is a scenario where the proposal is reading October 2, then a contract is signed in November. The money comes into December. Now, there was a situation where some grantees, I'm not saying Afya, but some grantees would find that they will have spent, for them the proposal is October 2, the next September.
Yes.
They will have spent. Then IGP comes in and says, no. The agreement was signed in November. So these expenses that you are talking about,
yes,
they are not eligible. So now this grantee says, but our proposal reads from this to this. Is one that may be because of technicalities, a few issues, those other issues. Now, that education was lacking. In most cases, for me, I saw it lacking into IGP. They should have sensitized, they should have educated at the inception of the project. That could have been the best practice that they could have adopted.
Okay, then what changes could have been made to avoid delays at the selection phase? There's a startup phase, selection phase as they were selecting.
No, I
Selection
think,
phase.
in the pre-implementation activities,
Yes.
IGP, if there's anything that the IGP did invest in as
Yes.
much as possible,
Yes.
was the pre-implementation. Because the first time, when they called, the first call for concept was like in February. In there, it was even written in the grant agreement, after 6 weeks, and they were so strict to that timeline.
Okay.
They were okay. Most of the pre-implementation activities were on time and they were okay. What happened was what he's talked about. After the negotiation and whatnot,
So even the selection stage, they were okay.
there was some,
was
they came
were
here
fast
and
in
they were actually, when they tell you 6 weeks, within that 6 weeks,
Okay.
they met their deadline.
Okay.
But then what happened, for me, I think on their own, with their own programming and whatnot, they were fine. The issue was the interaction with now grantees.
Okay, so now that one can come under implementation phase.
Yes.
Yes.
Implementation phase
Phase.
is where it was a bit chaotic.
Okay.
The pre-implementation,
Okay.
I think for us as Afya,
that was
for him, he's talking about generally about IGPs,
Yes.
IGP grantees
Yeah.
of different institutions. But for Afya Muzuri, I think that one we found it okay because I think they were on time. You still, it's August, we are waiting, and in August they'll still get back to you.
Okay.
You had talked
So
about the question.
so you were saying the issues were with the implementation phase.
Phase. Yes.
That's why you had a lot of changes. What can be changed?
What has to be changed
Yes, to avoid delays.
to avoid the delays? Number one
Yes.
is
You talked of the bureaucratic issues. That one we
that
captured,
has
yes.
to change.
That has to change.
Yes.
What else could be changed at the implementation?
Okay, there was a question before that which I needed to add on to what Mr. P3 said.
P3.
said.
Okay, Mr.
So,
P3, yes.
yes.
Yes. You want to add something else?
So P3 talked about IGP should have trained, should have done what. If you go in other projects,
Yes.
you find that documentation and whatnot, everything is already banked, waiting for to be issued.
Yes.
One thing that we saw with IGPM is
Yes.
when a challenge befalls them, it's when they, so it's like we are learning, they are also learning. The manager is also learning and we are also learning. So it was the learning process whilst you are implementing. Hence these changes. We started, because even these timesheets of veneration, it came how many months after? 10 months after implementation. Then it's changed. And then they are now telling you to say, if you can you backdate? Is it possible for me to backdate works that I did 8 months ago? It's impossible. So in other projects, like USAID projects will be very concrete. They'll tell you, timesheets, here, look at it. Gender action plan, here, look at it.
This, look at, so everything right from the beginning is taken care of. But with IGPM, it's been in the process, things are coming up.
They are coming.
So what has to change is,
Yes.
before you roll it out,
Yeah.
take care of your house, put your
Okay.
house in order, so that you don't start exhibiting certain things to the other people that you don't see.
Okay, so that's the implementation phase. How about the close out phase, this phase? What changes to implement?
It's very chaotic, this one, in fact.
Okay, so what would you advise? What should be changed to
Allow
avoid delays?
sufficient time for implementation, and let there be a phase where implementation ends. You know, where you're even saying we have closed
We have closed
implementation,
now. Okay.
and then we are now going into close out.
Close out.
But with this specific one, we are implementing whilst we are closing out.
You are still implementing whilst you are.
Like our grant agreement is expiring on 30th October as Afya Muzuri.
Okay.
But our final completion report is due on Friday the 21st
Friday 21st.
of September. 2 days from today, we are submitting our final completion project report
But the contract will come to an end.
in October.
So you have to report those things you are yet
No,
to do.
we've given you a report already. What are we reporting on again? We are giving you a final completion project report, but our implementation is still ongoing.
Still ongoing.
You see the chaos I'm doing now.
So there has to be implementation.
Let
ends.
implementation end and give 1
Then
month of monitoring
close out.
and whatnot, and then we go get in the closeout. Then we'll be reporting all that. Oh, let's go back. But I mean, some of them were even reporting into expected intervention. That's why we told you
Expected.
about the partnerships.
Yeah.
We are going to work on them more in the month of October. For now, we are reporting. We
You
are
reporting
working
on
on the.
partnerships.
Yes, we are working to ensure that the report goes and it looks as clean as possible.
Okay.
So I really don't know. You've seen that. So there's
Yeah.
a miss. You are closing out. You're implementing. So it's actually a lot of backlog on us because you have to be in the market. You need to implement. Our beneficiaries are waiting for us. MCA is closing out. IGPM is closing out. So you are just one person who's just revolving this whole mess. It's dramatic.
Wow.
But seriously, there must be a phase where you close the implementation and then you go into the closeout. That's how.
So why isn't that phase there? What do you think is the
It's
issue?
there according to them because of the delays in the disbursement and whatnot. Because as far as I'm concerned, some grantees haven't even received their last disbursement.
Okay.
But then closeout is ongoing. Do or die, you have to close
You
the
have to
shop.
close out. They haven't yet received. Okay, no, thanks so much for that rich information. So we go to the last part, sustainability now. I'm sure some of the things we're even mentioning as we're discussing other questions on sustainability. We would now like to turn to some broader questions about sustainability of the IGP. Did the organization encounter any legal, institutional, or political challenges? So did you encounter any challenges? And how did these challenges impact the overall effectiveness of your partnership? These challenges related to legal, institutional. Did the organization encounter any challenges? Okay, so these challenges related to legal, institutional, or political. Okay, did you encounter any such challenges? How did these challenges impact the overall effectiveness of your partnership?
There wasn't any legal challenge.
Okay.
Because if you're saying the legal challenge, you're talking about selling, but there wasn't any legal challenge.
Legal, institutional, political.
No institutional challenge in that line. Also, political, I don't know what that word really means because are we talking about the existing political parties, as it were, or political? In which line are we trying to refer this to?
You know, let me say, maybe for example, did the organization encounter any regulatory challenges? For example, water supply, sanitation, solid waste management. So any regulatory challenges within Lusaka or at a national level that have affected the implementation and effectiveness of your project?
Well, in other words, the only challenge which is not Afya muzuri.
Yes.
You know the time she talked about the cholera issue. When that cholera thing came,
Yes.
it affected the whole SAC. And that made it very difficult for us to continue implementing or constructing in the markets because of that issue.
Or that cholera issue.
Of cholera area.
Okay.
You know that where there was cholera in Lusaka?
Yes.
It was declared that no gathering of people, what have you. That is the time where we were also implementing. That affected us because we had to delay until the pronouncement was changed. Now you can go and do certain things.
So you couldn't go in those areas.
We couldn't go in
during
those
that time?
areas, and that complicated, started constructing, doing things at that time when the markets were closed. Remember, government closed out the markets?
Yes. Some markets were closed.
Were closed. So that is something that was a challenge. But after that, we went back into the markets. The other
So just that one, after that you went back into the market. I would want to find out how your organization managed to address that same situation, to facilitate implementation of your project. How did you manage to address that one? When markets were closed. So afterwards, how did you manage to address that issue?
it was when the markets were now open.
Yes.
For people to continue.
So you had to wait for the markets to be open.
Do their business. Yes.
That's when now you moved.
Yeah, we went back and continued the implementation aspect. The only challenge that was in the market was not, that's why I asked that question. So it's not really political, but these markets in the community have wrangles among themselves, leadership wrangles. So we experienced one.
They have leadership wrangles.
Yes.
And those wrangles have nothing to do with
that affected
political issues.
Yeah, no.
Oh, okay. Just leadership wrangles.
Yeah, that affected our implementation, like the Kazmai market.
Okay.
Kazmai market had about 3 committees that were running the same organization, the same market.
Same market, 3 committees.
There was an issue which there is even something which I cannot go into detail. I think there's something that is already before the courts of law. But because of those groupings in the market, this is a leader group, this is a leader group. Now that affected us. I had to have about 3 meetings of different committees from the same market in this room here.
Okay. You called them here.
Yes,
at different times.
so that we can discuss.
The first one, they came on their own.
Yes.
On their own.
Yes, so we want to go and see the
Challenges.
The leader, they are the boss of Afya muzuri.
Oh.
Because of the same
problem that their problem, leadership problem. But we sat and we advised, we talked, and then the third meeting, the last third meeting is what moved to us to begin even the implementation. Because now, I said, here's an agreement. Sign this agreement, leave it, and walk out of your community. Because we are there to help you as a community.
Yes.
We are not benefiting anything. I gave them the whole process of what we are doing in the market. That there is no benefit to Afya muzuri.
Yeah.
What we do in that market will remain yours.
Yes.
It will not come and say, or when we finish, now let us uproot our toilet. No, it is yours to continue using it. So when we entered into that agreement, now they saw now the benefit of it, and the 3 groups are called, then they understood what it was now. That's how now we moved. Even at that level, some other things that came, but I ignored them. I said, no, we have agreed. I'm following the paper that we agreed. That's how now we moved on, and Kazmai now has a toilet. And they are very happy now, I'm sure.
They are very happy.
That's why, remember, we said, because now they should be happy, because now out of this darkness that we went through. Those are a bit of a challenge that were there.
Okay, so the same, what you are describing as darkness, how did it affect you, like achieving the
that affected because
there were delays.
The
Commencement of construction.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, for one market we hand over the site in November, but this other one they are still fighting. It went into January, it went into February.
Yeah.
Actually December, January, February. We lost about 3 months.
About 3 months.
Because the wrangles, they keep going on. They keep you send a contractor there. He's on site. He's chased.
Wow.
No, you did not come to see me. I'm the most important person. Therefore, go back. So you see, that's the delayed commencement of the construction.
And that delay has also affected the already done good work in Mutendere. Because our thoughts now are that let us open everything at the same time.
Yeah.
And that gave us a delay because we not open there while the other one is not working. But we could go and see, so it's like the last meeting I said, look, for me to solve this problem,
Yes.
I want your committee to move to Mutendere. Go and look at the structure. Come and tell me. If it's useless, then don't come and sign this document.
Yes.
No, I said, no, like go. We are not signing. Go and see. Then come and tell me. Ask your friends.
Yes.
That's how we managed to bring down the waters. But I'm glad everything has been done well with the help of my program person who almost was running out of the market in tears. But we said, no, marketeers, I know them. Don't
Yes.
worry.
Yeah.
Just be patient. At one time,
Yes.
they will come and even buy you presents and biscuits.
Oh,
They
yeah.
bought me lunch on
You
Monday.
They did what?
They bought me lunch on Monday. I was so surprised.
Okay, that was
Meeting.
nice.
So after that, they were talking about money and whatnot. So after that, they were, no, come, we'll buy you lunch. I was so surprised. I was like, 1 year, 11 months, I've never had any
Yes.
food from you. So I think that was the sustainability.
Yes.
process.
Okay. So, are there any innovations from your IGP intervention that you think would be applicable to similar projects in the future?
About the whole process that we've
The whole
done.
process, I think it's worth it scaling up, it's
Yes.
worth it being replicated elsewhere. Because it's one of those things, you move, you sort out a problem once and for all,
Once
and
and
the
for
rest
all,
of the
yes.
problems will. Because what actually challenges most of these programs to move forward is money.
It's man.
But then we went with an approach that is going to generate money. So it will continue responding to the challenge, and then the money will be enough to like even sponsor other things. So imagine if they can use the money properly, they even renovate their toilets. You'll be able to see the
Yes.
difference between the two toilets that we're talking about. So they can use the other, rehabilitate it also. I mean, they will have more money in their pockets because they will have a number of streams to get money.
And if they do a lot of good marketing,
Good marketing.
they will sell beyond their market.
Yes.
Even if there are other markets that have not those facilities,
Yes.
that can be replicated. If IGP said, okay, there is this market, and can you help in this other market in the same process? They've expanded the project and it will help a lot of lives.
Yes.
So this innovation for me
Yes.
is something that IGP must look at very, very seriously to be replicated in other places.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you expect that your organization will complete your project before the expiration of their contract with MCAZ?
Definitely, that's why we are finishing everything.
You are
We
finishing everything.
We are done. By that October she's talking about,
Yes,
everything
that's
will be.
the closing.
Except for one thing that will remain, like I said,
Yes.
Kazimai will remain as it is. Because until they finish that sewer line,
Oh, Kazima is still waiting for that sewer
That
line.
sewer line
So that you
connect.
connect in that sewer line.
Now
Yes.
we faced challenges because it was anticipated that by the time we are finishing construction,
Yeah.
Yes.
the sewer network will have
Could have
been
been.
commissioned.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So automatically, as we just drop our lines into the main line and then sewer is taken care of. But then we complete the implementation, the construction is done, and then you say, we cannot pay, but where is the sewer going to go?
Yes.
So from Tendere Main,
Yes.
there was space to construct a septic tank.
Yeah.
Oh, so you constructed the
A septic tank to be used in the meantime because we needed to test our project within this period that the grant is still active.
Yeah.
So then there we managed, and that's how come it opened. Kazimai is just sitting right in the road, and then behind that road is where the sewer network line for MCA is lying. But then it hasn't been completed due to the challenges that we faced.
Yeah.
Therefore, we have to wait because we looked for alternative of where we can put a septic tank. There's no space.
No.
Unless we go to dig in the road, which is not
Yeah.
safe.
Okay.
So then we have to wait until when MCA
That's
finishes. So that is the one biggest challenge. We cannot do the other things on the
Yes.
other side due to an external factor, which is MCA line.
Okay. Wow. So, please describe the sustainability plan for your intervention. How is the sustainability plan like?
Okay.
Sure, you talked of some of them. So, in a nutshell, would you describe your sustainability plan?
So our sustainability plan is tied to the major milestones of our project. Huh?
Okay.
One, MHM shelters.
Okay.
The MHM shelters is where we explained the funds, it has
Yes.
to be maintained, maintenance and operation.
Yeah.
Money is going there. And then production of sanitary towels, they are selling, and then the profits, they continue buying production materials and they continue scaling it up. And also marketing, we want to link them to these other organizations that are promoting MHM but they're not producing, so that they can be buying from those women.
Okay. So, which are those organizations?
Afya Muzuri is one of them, because we have another project being implemented on the copper belt,
Okay.
but then they are not producing. So we want to link Afya Muzuri to be the buyer in bulk of
Okay.
that.
Oh, that would
And
be
then one
nice.
of them again is UNICEF, because we've collaborated with UNICEF in another project. So we want
Okay.
to just engage them and come on this. Another opportunity we have is Gigi from MCC. Saying
What's that? Oh, someone from
they-
MCC.
From MCC said that the time that production has scaled up, we have to get in touch with her. So that she links us to the embassy
Okay.
for those other organizations that are able to, so that we will get bulk orders.
Yeah.
Then group saving schemes, we want to link it with other saving schemes that are being implemented. And the groups that we formed, we want to register them with Ministry of Community Development so that they become a formalized institution.
Okay.
When they're formalized, they have opportunities to access other programs, like social cash transfer, so that they are being actually monitored by a government agency. Even
Oh,
if
yeah.
Afya Muzuri is to close today,
Yes.
we are sure that there is
That,
an agency that will never retire.
Yes.
The government of Zambia. So if
Yeah.
there is that collaboration, then marketing, that is where we talked of trade kings coming in, and also signing memorandum of understanding between those collaborations that we make, so that they stand the test of time.
Yeah.
Maybe for 3 years, it's just valid.
Okay. Wow.
And also
So-
we are looking for extra funding that can help
Yeah.
pay an allowance or the wage bill for the program people, so that they continue monitoring those groups, maybe for the extended period of 6 to 7 months, to just ensure that even if the grant has expired in October, come November, December, January, and up to March, we can just continue monitoring them and win them off gradually.
Yes.
Because the MCA one looks like it's so abrupt.
So abrupt.
I mean, we're
Such
still
is-
implementing and then we are closing
You are
out.
closing
Yeah,
out.
so
Okay. So, what are the major risks that threaten the ability of the organization to meet the goals of this sustainability plan?
the
The
winning.
plan you've given us. So, what are the major risks?
One, the entities that we might link them with, those
Yes.
entities that I talked about,
Yeah.
some of them might pull out.
Okay.
And when they pull out, it
Yes.
will affect what we've anticipated.
Yeah.
Secondly, the backstop monitoring by Afya Muzuri to those markets
Yes.
might not be as frequent as possible, because you might not have the resources
Oh, yeah.
to go and monitor them, because we need a vehicle to go there, we need fuel, we need they pay for this extra person to go there.
Would have closed by then.
So we would have closed by then. So we really, really need, and if there's no response from those that we've approached to just ensure that there's an allowance, they pay for this person, then we are seeing a situation where we close and the also markets just close as
They
well our
close.
activities, other than that toilet, because for the toilets,
Yeah.
there's
Giving
big
them-
money
yeah.
there. So
Yes.
where money is concerned with the markets,
Yeah.
very good.
Very
Anything
good.
else,
Uh-huh.
So the market is money oriented.
Maybe the other risk is the legal framework
Okay.
of if those small groups are not yet legally recognized, they
Yeah.
might find it difficult for them to be linked to other formalized savings schemes.
Okay.
And the other risk in this sustainability thing,
Yes.
what you just talked about, the legal issues, we are aware that right now there's a legal battle between the council and the market,
Okay.
because the council wants to repossess the markets, and then they are saying this is a cooperative market. How do you possess it?
Yes.
So it's already that the legal processes among themselves, and we don't know where it will take.
Yes.
If then it goes in a different way, we don't know the reaction of the people. The council may say we have taken over, they are our markets, and they say, look, we achieved this as a cooperative.
Yes.
Compensate us.
Yeah.
Then there will be another challenge again.
Oh yeah.
So we don't know.
Okay. So in what ways have you worked with IGPM, MCA Zambia, Lusaka City Council, Lusaka Water and Storage Company to ensure that the intervention will be sustainable after the end of the compact?
The council is aware
The
of
council.
that project,
Okay.
because they are the ones that gave us even permission to construct. There are people
The
that
council, okay. Yeah.
Yes, the council. So they are aware of the project. Since they are aware of the project, I don't suspect it ending. Like, what did you do this without our knowledge? They know
Yes.
that there's that record.
So you've been working with the
We
council.
are working with the council. We've been working with the council for us to achieve what we've achieved in the markets. Because they're the ones that didn't give us permission to go ahead and start constructing. So at that level,
Yes.
the council is aware. We've been working with them. Cooperative, they were able to respond to our demands, and at the end of the day, made an agreement that we continue what we are doing. In terms of water and sewerage, I think that is beyond us.
That's beyond you, the water
Yeah.
and
But we
sewerage.
only
but-
engage them
yeah.
at the point of
Yeah.
connecting sewer
Connecting.
lines.
So you are yet to engage them. Actually.
We got in touch with them, but that's just what, like a once off, because
Yeah,
of the
okay.
recommendation letter to say after that it has to be approved. So for the other toilet that has not been commissioned, we
Yeah.
have to engage them and
Okay.
hand over that, because we need to hand over at what stage is the line going to connect.
Okay.
Come that time, Osaka Water has to pick it up, because for us
Yes.
would have been gone, maybe we won't even
Yeah.
be there. Yeah.
Okay. Then IGPM.
Those
Okay, those you.
I mean, everything about the project, they are well informed and they've been part of the project.
Okay. So do you believe that the implementing entities, that is the Lusaka City Council and Lusaka Water and Storage Company, have the institutional capacity and resources necessary to effectively oversee and manage IGP interventions in the
No.
future?
No.
Why are you saying no?
These entities, I don't know if it's government approach to work.
Okay.
No, this intervention needs hands-on on this work.
Hands-on.
But those people, because at council you can take one paper like this, you submit it there, go after 5 days, you find it has gone missing, you have to resubmit. That speaks a lot about the institution.
Okay.
How efficient are they?
Yeah.
So one, response and actions to things takes time. We submitted our plans in July 2017. We're in October. They haven't been reviewed.
So
That
does
is
that
it.
look at maybe hinge on the issue of capacity?
It is capacity, it is bureaucratic, it is how responsive they are to issues that are on their table.
Okay.
So for you to work with the market, you need like a dedicated person being there, reporting, and things moving.
Yeah.
Because even with us here at Afya, I tell you how we worked. At times, my boss wouldn't even know that I'm in the market. But you know, it gives you the power to say, do it. Only when it's hard, and then you go back to him. But the government doesn't work like that, and it will delay, and certain things might just go on unattended to. And it might actually make the project suffer.
Okay. So do you think they have the resources to continue with these projects?
I don't think, okay, for Lusaka City Council, I don't think so, because even just garbage collection is
Yes.
a problem. They are the people responsible for garbage collection at the Mtendere main market. It's ever piling up. So for me, it's an issue of resources, and it's also an issue of capacity.
You see, when a question like that comes from you researchers,
Yes.
the capacity, resources,
Yeah.
I think it's a well-known fact that councils are crippled. Not only Lusaka, the whole country. I'll tell you basically this point. Councils were very powerful institutions in the past. One, ZESCO, that we call ZESCO today, was council money. We paid.
was council?
Yes, that belonged to council. So it was moved from there. That's one resource taken out from there. Council, all the houses were paying rent to the council. The houses sold off. That is the revenue removed. Council was one responsible for water services removed from a company. The water and swales, water were formed. They take away that ability. So when we look at these, there are so many things that have been taken away from the councils.
Yes.
So the resources that we talk about, it's almost impossible for them to do it. For example, if today we were to be very, very realistic, I'm trying, maybe this, it can be all recorded. It should be. What I'd love is to be off.
No, that's powerful information. That's powerful information. So you've talked about the council, Lusaka City Council. How about the Lusaka Water and Sewage Company?
No. What, when you ask a question of Lusaka City Council, where is that? Where did water company come from? When you come from a certain branch, you carry certain trends that you don't really. People are in the waters sector in the council.
Yes.
We have separated you now. You are now an independent. The same attitude that you had here, you are taking here. The same way your reaction to work is the same. It's just you just changed your name, but your attitude, it's the same. So yes, water have a resource because they have money. We are paying money to them, but how are they managing their resource? That's a question I cannot answer. But the resources they have, because everyone is drinking water and paying for it,
Yes.
no matter what. So they have resources, but how are they managing that resource? I don't understand. I don't know. But can they manage taking our IPG projects
Yes.
as these entities that I've mentioned?
Yes.
If they were to reorganize themselves and be realistic, they can do it because it is their community. IGP just came to present this into a localized system. So the system can take over and start working in it. Because IP is a one-off drop. The funds come one-off and they drop and they do. But since we've done all activities in their localities, if it is talking about water,
Yes.
sanitation, water and sanitation, something that IGP has implemented relates to water. So it is up to that institution to take over and ensure that it runs effectively. The markets where we are, if they are taken over by the council as of now, they must work hard to do that. Now, away from the market itself, it's a community. Mutendere, Tizanga, what have you, all these are communities. What is the council plan for these communities? How to effect them? Following what has been implemented. So everything that IGP has produced in this city or in Zambia depends on these three bodies to re-change their thinking and get this and work on them effectively and dream that they should not see them die. If they die, the community has died. If the community has died, there's no water, there's no sanitation, cholera comes in. Yeah, we are. December is coming. Look at these drainage systems that they have been working on. Now what will happen, I'm apprehensive. When the rain comes, the very big water drainage they've created, I don't know where it is going to empty its waters, if it won't be in the street again. Because all these things are what Water and Sanitation Council and other bodies must sit together and agree the way forward. What do we do with this that have come into our systems? If they don't have plans for them, it's a disaster.
Yeah. Okay, no, thanks so much for those details. So do you foresee your intervention still being operational 1 year from now?
Definitely it will. Ours will, because they're generating money. They'll
So-
be making money.
Okay.
They are able to continue because they'll be raising money. If they don't, then we will be very sad. We will cry.
Okay, so one of the factors which will ensure that the program continues is income generation.
Yeah, it is
Of
generating
generating money.
income.
Yes.
That is the highest form of motivation to our beneficiaries.
No, okay. So how about the issue of partnerships? Would that ensure that it continues?
Partnership depends on the agreement of the partners.
Agreement. Otherwise, what you are sure of
The
is the
Muslim
same
pay.
Yes.
income generation.
Their income generation is 100% sure way of continuing with the project. Of course, partnership depends on how they relate and how they talk. They can use that. It will help them, but what we have given them,
Yes.
that innovation in the income generation, the trainings in group saving loans,
Yes.
that will go a long way to help them.
Yeah. Okay, so do you have any additional thoughts on these or related topics that you did not already discuss during our interview? Have we covered everything? Or maybe there are some issues we should need to discuss?
That's so
So,
In an explicit
There's
interview.
a lot of things that we've discussed. I think.
okay. Oh, thank you very much for your participation in this study and for taking time to speak with us today. We are greatly appreciate. We greatly appreciate also for your cooperation and for the time you've given us this time. Thanks so much.
Thank you.